Hey there, and welcome to this rapidMATION chatbot for insurance demo. Now today I'm going to take you through an insurance chatbot that we've created. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a website, and this website is a mock-up of a specific customer's website. And on this website, what they've done is they've surfaced a chatbot that allows customers to interact and get some of their questions answered. Now these windows can look and feel exactly how you like. I've just used some default styling here, and imagine a customer comes onto this page and they would like to interact with the chatbot. So the first thing that the chatbot does is it opens up and it says, "Good day, mate, just before we get started, what is your name?" So in this instance, I'm going to play a role of John Citizen who's coming on to this insurance website to get some additional details. And the chatbot comes back to him and says, "Great to meet you, John. Just in case we get disconnected, how can I reach out to you?" So we're going to go through here and put in John's email address. Now, as soon as we've entered some of those details, then the chatbot opens up some options of what John can actually get some assistance with. Now, again, if the chatbot already has spoken to John, it can remember John, it can remember any of the details. But in this case, this is just the first time that he's come onto the website. So assuming John wants to go through and get a quote for a piece of insurance, he can come through here and he can select the get a quote option. And what he can do is he can browse through this different carousel to see the different types of insurance that this company offers. And depending on what type of insurance he's looking to get a quote for, he can go through and he can select that option. Now in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say that John is looking for a car insurance quote. So he's going to select the car option, and what the chatbot's going to do, it's going to come back to him and say, "Okay, great, I understand you're looking for some car insurance. Just so that we can get you the details you need as quickly as possible, tell us a little bit about your situation." So in this example, what we're going to say is we're going to need some. First thing that the chatbot's going to do, it's going to say to him, "Congrats on the new wheels, exciting times," and he's going to ask John to go through and enter his number plate. Now, why we want to capture the number plate details is instead of having to ask John to capture all of the make and model details of his car, we can use some automation to go and fetch all of that data for us. Makes the data far more reliable and gives us the exact data that we need. So in this instance, as soon as John's going to enter his number plate details, what we're going to do is we're going to use something called robotic process automation. And in this instance, it's a platform called Uipath, which is the market leader in robotic process automation. And from this chatbot, we're using this chatbot to interact with the customer, but there's a whole heap of automation that we're weaving together using the Uipath platform. So in this case, let's have a look at what it looks like. John's going to come in here and he's going to go enter his number plate details, and what he's going to do is he's going to select enter. Now what we're doing is you can see the chatbot comes back and automatically says that it's working on something. If I just minimize here, this is the Uipath robotic process automation software that's automatically opened up a system in the back end and gone and fetched the details. In this specific scenario, it was a very simple kind of lookup on a RegioCheck website, but this could be any system inside your environment, whether it's surfaced and whether that data is surfaced through an API, or perhaps even if there's no API and it's an older system or a green screen system, or it has limited details on it, we can then go through and fetch the data using robotic process automation and specifically the Uipath platform. Now, as soon as the bots come back and push that data back into the chatbot, we can see that come directly in here and we can continue with the next part of the process. Excellent. And just like that Uipath robotic process automation software bot has returned the details into the chatbot window. So here we can see that it's looked up that license plate. It's a Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, and we know that it's licensed in New South Wales and it's the year 2021. Next up, the chatbot's going to ask us, "Hey, well, could you upload your driver's license?" So what John's going to come in here is he could be on his phone or desktop and he could go through and actually upload his driver's license through the chatbot. Now, in the exact same way, the chatbot has some really great kind of artificial intelligence. And again, this is being driven by the Uipath platform. And in this case, that driver's license image holds a number of great pieces of information that if we could extract that and digitize that data, we could use this in our specific interaction with this customer. So in this case, the chatbot's coming back and we've said, hey, I've got some pretty cool AI. Do you want me to automatically go through and extract the details from your driver's license? So what we're going to say is, yes, we absolutely do, because we don't want to go through and type any of that information. So here you can actually see, just like that, it's used the Uipath platform to go through, and it uses something called Uipath document understanding. And what document understanding allows us to do is to extract data from any digital document. So in this case, it's taken that driver's license and it's looked and it's extracted all of the details that were on that specific driver's license. So really good, and it's just showing some of the power of automation and how we've used a chatbot to interface some of this automation. Next up, the chatbot says, well, one of my other superpowers is to be able to automatically generate documents, and would you like to be able to see that in action? So what this user is going to say is, yes, I absolutely do. And what the chatbot's going to do, it's going to kick off another Uipath process, and what it's going to go do, it's going to go assemble a document for me. And what it's doing here, it's actually assembling a quote document. So what's happened here is it's gone through, and this user can now go through and see their exact quotes and what that actually looks like. But as well as that, what the chatbot's automatically done, because it has context of our user John, and we know what his email address is, it's gone through and it's automatically sent out that quote to that specific user. So let's have a quick look at what that quote might look like. So if we switch over to my mailbox here, we can see here that it's gone through. Again, this can look exactly how you like, but it just says, hi there, please find attached your quote for car insurance. And if we open this up, this document has automatically been generated with all of the details that we've managed to get from this interaction with the customer. We can see down the bottom, there's some quote details and there's a per month and per year charge. Excellent. So if we come back here, it's the last part of the chatbot. It says to us, well, to ensure that you have everything that you need and to answer any other questions that you may have, I'm going to go loop in one of the team to assist. So up to this stage, what's actually happened is only all these interactions have been automatic through this chatbot. But what we're going to do now is we're going to bring a human into the conversation. We're going to loop one of the human team members into the conversation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say, yes, all good. And what the chatbot's going to do, it's going to go and it's actually going to connect to one of the live team members. So here it's just saying, ring, ring, please wait while I get you connected to one of the team. It's going through and it's providing all of the context across to that team member, so that the user doesn't have to re-enter any of that information. And then it's gone through, it's found out the user's position in the queue, and it says, good news, you're next in the queue. So if we switch over to the company's view, what we're going to do is we're going to come into kind of one of these agents chat dashboards. And what we're going to do is we're going to log in as one of these agents. So in this example, what I'm going to do is I've logged in as a user called Sean, and Sean is one of the users inside this specific company, and Sean can see things that are waiting inside his queue, or the user's queue, or the team's queue. And what Sean's going to do is Sean's going to come in here and Sean's going to go through and connect to this specific conversation that's coming in. And what we can see here is as soon as the user comes through and connects, the first thing that happens is Sean has all of the context of that conversation with John and everything that's happened previously inside that specific conversation. Now the great thing is here, there's some really great shortcuts that have automatically been created for us. So the first thing is that the kind of internal user can see all of the details of the conversation so far. He can see who he's actually been chatting to, and the first thing that he has is he has a number of shortcuts. So the first thing that he can do is he can say, hey, well, thanks for waiting. I know your time is precious. And the next thing that he's going to do is he says, I've got all of your details here. How can I be of assistance? So what we're going to do is we're going to switch back just to John's view, and he can see here exactly what this user had actually come back and said. He knows that he's chatting to Sean, and he knows that he can disconnect at any time if he wants to. So the first thing that he's going to ask this kind of help desk user is he's going to say, well, hey Sean, I just wanted to double check if the quote that you sent me was fully comprehensive. So if we switch back to the user here, he can see all of those kind of details, and perhaps what he wants to do now is he just wants to view all of the details of the quote that was sent. Now, of course, he can go back through the conversation and get all those details, but we've provided him some shortcut pieces of information. And one of those kind of shortcuts is to be able to go through and get customer data. So in this example, the internal help desk user is using another chatbot to go through and get all of the details of what was actually provided to John. A pretty cool way to see exactly what has actually happened so far in the conversation. So looking at this information, the user has a few things that they can do. They can look at that, or they could even go through and open up any external systems to get additional information should they need it. In this case, I just popped in the rapidMATION website, but this could give them access to anything that they like internally of what they might need to look up. Great, so what the help desk user is going to say now is he's going to confirm with John that it absolutely is, and he's going to say to John, is there anything else that he can assist with? If we move back over to John's view of the conversation, what John's going to say is, great, thanks for confirming, and that's all I wanted to check. So in this way, they can seamlessly have a conversation between these two users and provide that customer with all the information that they need. When the conversation flow is over, what the help desk user can say is, great to chat to you, thank you for your time, and again, they're going to go through and they're going to disconnect from that conversation. Now, there's a few great pieces of kind of feedback that we can give here. So firstly, for the help desk user, what they're going to say is that this conversation concluded successfully, and we're going to use that in some of our kind of logging and information to see how the live chat agents are actually doing. And in that case, the conversation is closed. Now, from the other side, from John's side, what you can see here is that the agent has disconnected from the conversation, and it's going to ask them for a little bit of a survey to say, well, how would you rate our team support? And perhaps in this example, John's going to select 5, and he's going to be asked, how satisfied were you with the waiting time? And again, maybe he felt it could be a little bit quicker, so he's rated them a 4. So again, just in that very simple interaction, there was 95% of that conversation which was all automated, collecting all the data and then looping a human help desk user into the conversation to answer any further questions that that customer would have. A really great way to show you how these chatbots could be used to kind of free up human users' time. Now let's go look at another couple of scenarios. So the next one is the submit a claim scenario. So imagine here a user's coming in and they're looking to figure out how they can go through and submit a claim. Generally in a claim scenario, there's heaps of commonly asked questions that a user has. And instead of tying up one of our help desk agents' time, we can surface a list of those questions. So perhaps the first question the user wants to ask is, well, where do I start with a claim? And this can provide some very simple details back to the user of some information that they might need. And if the user wants to go through and ask another question, they can loop back and they can go through and they can ask another question here. And perhaps what they need to ask is, well, how long do I have to lodge a claim? And again, we can surface back some of these frequently asked questions seamlessly back to that specific user. Now, perhaps when the user's finished asking any of those questions, if they wanted to return back to the main menu, here they can come back and they get prompted with the menu options once more. Again, the menu options are fully customizable, but just to play through the third scenario, perhaps in this case, what a user wants to do is they want to go through and they want to check their policy. So in this example, they're going to get asked, well, how would you like to check your policy? Do you know your policy number, or do you want to look it up via your surname? Perhaps in this example, the user says, well, hey, I actually know my policy number. So the chatbot's going to come back and say, well, hey, I'm impressed not many people know that, so please could you enter it below? So perhaps here what we'll do is we'll enter some details on the policy number. And again, what this chatbot's going to do, it's going to use that Uipath robotic process automation to go and look up all of the policy details. In this instance, the chatbot hasn't managed to find or locate that policy with the number that user kind of put in, but the chatbot comes back and says, well, no problem, I can actually look it up using your surname and date of birth, so could you enter your surname below? So again, in this case, we'll enter John's surname, which is citizen, and it's going to ask the user for their date of birth. And in John's case, it's the 1st of January 1980. So this chatbot has gone through, it's automatically gone through and found out all of the details. It's now looked up that specific policy and it's come back to the user and said, okay, great. Well, what would you like to do now? Do you want me to email you the policy? Would you like it to discuss with one of the team, which would open up the live chat? Or would you like to go back to the menu option? So in this case, all John was looking for was he was looking for a copy of his policy. So again, what we can do here is we can automatically send that out to John's email, which is john.citizen@gmail.com. And we can go through then and prompt John with some of the other details or menu options that he has access to. So again, hope you've enjoyed that demo. It's the rapidMATION chatbot for insurance, and it just shows you how a chatbot can be used to self-serve different needs. And behind that chatbot, we can drive heaps of great automations, from being able to kind of integrate humans into the conversation, to generate documents, to look up kind of data from different systems. Really the world's your oyster in terms of what you might be able to do. Hope you've enjoyed the session. Speak soon.